Hello, everyone. Welcome back after the lunch break on our data track. Today we have with us Omar Sanseviero, which is a machine learning engineer with 7 years of experience working currently with Hugging Face and former software engineer at Google. Omar, I give the stage for you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Amira. So, hi everyone. Let me share my screen. Yeah, so hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how to build machine learning demos with Python. Very quick introduction about me. I'm actually from Peru, that's the llama. I worked at Google as a software engineer in the Google Assistant team, and currently I work at Hugging Face. Many of you might actually not know Hugging Face. So just to show you, Hugging Face is a ML community which has something called the Hub. So the Hub is pretty much a huge platform in which anyone can upload machine learning models, data sets, and demos, and they can search for these models with depending on the task. So, for example, if you're interested in finding a model for French, for translation from French to English, or for a model that does question answering, the Hub is a perfect place to find these models. We also have like some very famous open source libraries. Like we're an open source company, so we have two very famous libraries called transformers and datasets. But yeah, anyways, so that's Hugging Face. But today I'm going to focus on demos. So this is like a very common thing that happens is that you spend few months working in a very cool ML project, and then you realize that you don't have any way to show your project to other people. So maybe you have like this nice repo in GitHub with a model, but there's like no easy way to try out the model. So let's say that you want to build a portfolio or you want to show it to stakeholders at your company. You probably don't have like a very easy way to show how it works. And then you realize that you might need to start working with a front-end technology that you might have not done for many years or you might not want to learn at all. So today I'm going to talk about something that is called spaces, which will simplify your life quite a bit. So as I mentioned before, previously, and when I say previously, it was like 1-2 years ago, a lot of people were using JavaScript, React, combined with Flask. But now there are like open source libraries such as Gradio or Streamlit that make it much, much easier to build ML demos that you can share with the rest of the community, with potential employers, or with the current employers, or in your portfolio. So let me actually show you 3 examples, and I think it will be a bit clearer what I mean with ML demos. So this is a demo that translates English to Spanish. Here you can write any text. So I can write, hello, my name is Omar. I can clear this. I can click submit. When I click submit, it runs through a translation model. And then finally here I get like the output, which is in Spanish, hello, my name is Omar. I can even take a screenshot. So this is like a very nice way to show it to others. So this is a link that I can share with anyone else. Let me show you a second demo. So this is of a model called BigCan. So BigCan allows you to put a text. So for example, a chest, let's say. And when you click submit, it will generate an image. So this image is completely generated by the ML model. And it's like another example of what you can do with these demos. But anyway, so these are like 2 examples of ML demos. But the point here is that you can build like very simple interfaces that allow you to showcase the work that you've done in machine learning with the rest of the community or anyone else you would like to share with. So you might look at this and you might be a bit scared, like, hey, how can I even start doing this? This looks a bit scary. I don't want to do any front end. This in Python, this will probably be like 1,000 lines of code, but not really. Actually, it's quite simple. It's the first demo is just these 15 lines of code. So let me quickly go through it. So this is using Gradio, so that's what I'm importing. And then the second and third line are using transformers. So transformers is this very famous NLP library created by Hugging Face, but these demos are not limited to transformers. So if you want to use Keras, if you want to use PyTorch, if you want to use scikit-learn or any code any library that you've used before, this is extremely flexible. In any case, what I'm doing here is I'm using a class in Transformers called Pipeline that allows you to specify what a machine learning task you want to solve. So in this example, I want to solve translation. And then Pipeline allows you to pick any model from the hub. So as I mentioned before, the hub has a bunch of models. It actually has 28,000 models that you can look for and you can search. So here, for example, I can pick translation, and then you can specify also like what languages you're interested in. And since all of this is open source, there are a lot of users and communities and universities and companies sharing their models. So for example, the University of Helsinki, the NLP group, has shared 1,400 models for translation. So here you can find models that translate from one language to another, and there are quite a bit of them actually. In any case, so what I'm doing here is I'm specifying that I want to do translation with a Helsinki English to Spanish model. So that's for the first time I showed you. The most important part in Gradio is that you need to specify an inference function. So inference function means that it receives certain input. So it could be a text, it could be an image, it could be many sentences. And then within that function, you'll process it. That processing depends on your ML library, right? So if you're using TensorFlow, you will want to do like a usual forward pass, an evaluate. In scikit-learn, you will do a predict, things like this. In the case of Transformers Pipeline, what I'm doing, and don't worry too much about the specific syntax, it's more about understanding how it works. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the inference of the text. The pipelines allow you to put many sentences, so it can really receive a list of sentences. But in this demo, I'm only translating one at a single time. So I'm getting the first one, and then I just get the translation text. And finally, what is the most interesting part maybe is how the UI works, right? The UI is actually only these 8-9 lines of code. So we define a title, so interactive demo, Helsinki, blah, blah, blah. And in Gradio, you specify an interface. And the interface specifies which is the predict or the inference function, which are the inputs that we are going to receive, what's the format, the type of the output, and you then can specify things such as title, articles, examples, and a bunch of other things. That's pretty much it, actually. So let me show you this in Colab. I will share the link to the Colab in the Slack in case you're interested. But in any case, this is exactly the same code I just showed you. I'm going to run it. So this actually runs in Colab as well. It will launch a web app in Gradio and it will give you a link that will work for 72 hours, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So the first time I run it, it is a bit slow because it needs to download the model, which is from English to Spanish. That's why it's taking a bit. So let's just wait a few more seconds. There we go. So it's loading the models. This is just the first time though. After you load it the first time, rebuilding the interface is extremely quickly. As you can see, things are going well. Then you get a link that you can share with others. This only works 72 hours. And finally, you get this demo, this web app directly rendered in the Colab. So here already you can write, hello, my name is Omar, click submit, and then you get an output. You can take screenshots if you want to share that in social media or any place, I don't know, things like this. Okay, yeah, that was actually quite simple. And under the hood, it's actually using React, it's actually using Flask, so it's using the technologies that we didn't want to work too much with. So Gradio is like a very nice library that abstracts all of this logic away and allows you to build like very easy to use, very simple interfaces. You probably have heard of another library called Streamlit, and actually our suggestion is always to use both of them. Their use cases are a bit different. So Gradio is great if you want to build extremely easy to use interfaces, if you only want to specify an input and an output, or a series of models that you want to run with, but it's like a very linear thing. Streamlit, at the other hand, is a more flexible, fully fledged web app. It allows you to have a bunch of components. You can have multiple pages within the same page. There's like a very big community of people that are actually creating new components. They have like sliders. They have like very nice data visualization tools as well. So it's not limited only to models, but also to datasets. So my suggestion is always to use both. For Gradio, I normally suggest it to use if you only want to showcase one or few models. And the idea here being that you just specify like the interface and that's it, right? So Gradio works for very easy to use interfaces. And then if you want something more complex, if you want to add some nice explanations of your work, Streamlit is probably better to try out. So right now what we've done is that we were able to build a demo in Colab, and that was it, right? So we don't have any mechanism to share it with the rest of the community. And that's why we build Spaces. So Spaces, and here is the link. Spaces right now is in beta. It's getting out next week. But for people here in the PyCon, you can try out this link, hf.co/spaces/to-the-moon. Or if you have the rocket icon, rocket emoji in your keyboard, you can also try this link. This will automatically add you to the beta if you are already logged into Hugging Face. So yeah, I will wait 5 seconds if anyone is typing this. And just to show you, Spaces allows anyone to host freely. This is completely free to freely host Streamlit and Gradio apps directly in Spaces. So you get this link to your account. So when I go to my account, I can already see all my Spaces. You can share those with the community. So you can also create organizations. So if you want to have the Spaces of your university lab, you can do this, or of your company. And then you can browse and look at all of the demos of other people. These are both Gradio and Streamlit. I will show you some cool demos at the end of this talk. But yeah, this is like a very nice place to find many machine learning models and demos. So let me actually show you. I have this GIF here, but I think it's easier if I show you how to do it. So you can just click in your profile icon. You can click new space. And I'm going to create I don't know, Spanish, English to Spanish. And you can specify which SDK you want. So if you want Streamlit or Gradio, or actually if you want custom HTML, you can also do this. I will create a private repository. So this is actually a Git-based repository. So you can actually do git clone and you get control. So all of this has like a version control. So if you've used GitHub before and you're used to the Git-based workflows, this should be very easy to do. So you can do git clone, do all of the usual Streamlit or Gradio work in your computer, and then do git push. And this allows also for very collaborative workflows with other people. In any case, you can also do this directly on the browser. So you can create a new file. And here you just need to specify an app file. I will just copy paste exactly the same code I showed you in the code lab. Okay, so this will actually fail. The problem here is that my code, okay, so it's taking a bit to build. So the issue is that my code is using transformers and is using, so it's using transformers. And the issue is that it's not installed in this environment. So it's actually building a Docker-based image. So what you can do is actually specify the requirements, and you can do transformers, for example. I also want to install sentence piece and torch for PyTorch. When you do this, it will actually start building again automatically. So every time there's a new commit, it will start rebuilding the app. So you can click in building, and you can see the logs of things that are happening. So you can see here that it's actually installing transformers, installing sentence piece, installing torch. The building is similar to the code lab before. The first time it will be a bit slow since it's having to install all of these dependencies. But after a few minutes, you will be able to share this demo with anyone you want. So there's a link that you can share with anyone. Let me wait just 10 to 15 seconds. Seems the network might be a bit slow. Yeah, in any case, let me, I have here a backup while the other one is building. So this is exactly the same demo. So let me just show you the code to show you that it's exactly the same. So here I have the app Python file. And here I have the requirements being specified. So sentence piece, transformers, and torch. And this is exactly the same as what we were looking before in the Colab, right? So we have this demo here. So we got exactly the same thing here. But now this link is shareable. So this link is in your user profile. So it's like a nice way to have everything in a single place. Let me quickly check if this is still building. It seems so. Yeah, it's still installing transformers. Okay, so this was like the first use case, which is you load a model and then you execute it. And the problem with this is that it can be a bit slow because you need to specify all of these dependencies. And second, you need to build the model. So if you remember when we specified pipeline, it was loading this model from the hub that it was taking like 1 minute, plus all of the requirements, right? So it's a bit slow. It's not bad, to be honest. But in sometimes you might have like some models that the inference, that predict function might take 20 seconds, 1 minute, and that's not great. So at Hugging Face, we have something called the Inference Api. Yeah, it's very slow. So we have something called the Inference Api, and the Inference API has many hardware optimizations for transformers. So it allows you to do inference. So you do like an HTTP request to the hub, and it will run the model on like in a very optimized way, and it will give you like a few milliseconds response. So let me show you the code. It's actually even simpler than before. So you just import Gradio, and Gradio has this nice integration with Hugging Face. So you can just have the Hugging Face prefix and then specify a model from the hub. So in this case, I'm specifying a model in my user profile, which is bcan deep128. And this is the second demo I was showing you before. Sorry, not this one, this one, in which I can specify soap bubble, and I get this. I can say tiger, and I get this image. These images are, of course, generated, American Robin, and I get this image of the bird. And as you can see here, I don't have any requirements because here I'm only using radio. And yeah, the app file is just 13 lines of code. Okay, so this was the first demo that was building at the beginning. Let me see if, yeah, so now it's working, so that's great. Just to show you that I was not lying. So yeah, perfect. So this works, it's the same demo. Okay, so there's a third use case that you might be interested in, which is running one model after another after another. So what's the use case here? So there are models that you can actually search in different languages. So you can search for German models, for French models, for Spanish models. But usually, like most of the most frequent language, of course, is English. So there are models in English that can do things that you won't find in Spanish, for example. So there is like this very nice story generator model in English that I would like to do for an interactive demo in which it creates a story. So what I do is that I can translate the input of the user to English. Then I can run that text through the English model. That model will generate the story in English, and then I can translate back to Spanish. So how it looks is that instead of using a single interface, you can build 3 different interfaces. This is also using the Inference API. So here you can see that I have a Helsinki Spanish to English, a GPT-2 model that creates a story, and the third model will be a translation back from English to Spanish. So yeah, let me show you this third demo. So I begin with a text. So this is Spanish. It says, the adventure begins with, you click submit, and it will generate this story. So what actually happened here is that this text was sent to a Spanish to English model, to the Inference API, that was then sent to an English story generator model, And finally, that was sent back to English to Spanish model that translated it back to English, to Spanish, sorry. So yeah, so here it says the adventure begins with Bruce Wayne. Yeah, so I don't know why it begins with Batman, but yeah. So this is a third kind of thing that you can do. Okay, so I think it was not that hard. I think it was probably easier than you thought at the beginning of this talk. I would like to show you some of the nice demos built by the community. I think it's always nice to browse some of the selected demos that we have. Okay, so let me show you first this one. So we are not limited to NLP. You can also do things such as computer vision. So this is a demo of TR-OCR. This is a model from Microsoft. And you can put as image of a single line of text. You can click submit. And then in a few seconds, it's not super fast compared maybe to other solutions, but in a few seconds, it will give you the text that is in this image. And you can also upload your own images. You're not limited to the examples. If the person wants to make sure that this is actually like not hard-coded. So here it says, industry, Mr. Brown commented, blah, 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 let us have a. So it's doing optical character recognition from this image. This this is another one I did. So this one allows you to draw something. Okay, so I will draw a chair. It will first classify this. So here it's classifying that it's a chair. And then it will search with a model called Clip to retrieve from a data set of movie images, which is the image closest to this. So which is the image closest to the class chair. So it gave me this. Or things like this. I don't know. This is like a very small demo with a convolutional neural network. And the nice thing is that all of this is, first, it's Git-based. So you can look at the command history, you have version control. And second is that you can see the code of any public repo. So if you're interested in how a specific model was built, you can just click Files and Versions. You can click Api, and you can see here, this demo, for example, was 77 lines of code. So yeah, it's very nice. Or here for the previous demo, you can click Api, and then you can see the code. And here again is 45 lines of code. Let me maybe show you one from Spacey. As I mentioned, we're not limited to transformers. And one from CookieTTS. So the one from Spacey allows you to visualize Spacey pipelines. If you don't know what Spacey is, it's like a very big NLP library. So it allows you to, for example, here, the sentence is, Apple is looking at buying UK startup for 1 billion. So you can look at all of the dependencies between the different words. You can do something called named entity recognition. So you can see that Apple is classified as an organization and 1 billion is classified as money. And then you can do a bunch of other things. And finally, CookieTTS, I cannot show you because this is with audio, but it allows you to input a text. And in a few seconds, it will give you an audio that is saying exactly this thing. And this is very nice because a few years ago, all of these things were behind paid APIs, and now all of this is free. So I mentioned Spaces is a free product, and all of these models are built by the community. We have like 300 spaces at this moment, and you can find all kinds of spaces. You can get inspiration, you can get likes, so it's a bit of gamification. You can then go to models, and then you can see like which models you would like to build or to use in your demos. And then you can go to datasets, and you have 4,000 datasets that you can also use to build a model and finally build this demo. So the demo is like the final part of the full thing. But even if you don't know how to train a model for a specific task, it's very easy to find models that are out there that don't have a demo. So even if you don't know machine learning, you can take one of these models and you can build like some very nice demos and put that, like for example, in your company, if you want to showcase a model, you can do this. Anyways, this was all from my part. I mentioned that all of this was with Gradio, but I would really suggest you to also check out Streamlit. Both libraries are supported and both libraries are great. Yeah, thank you.
Really impressive demos, Omar.
Thank you.
I have a question. So Gradio and Streamlit are really good and super interactive when it comes to demo, but can we still use it like to deploy web app in production?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Streamlit actually is a bit more based on this, like with this on mind. But really, like what I showed you before, like spaces are already like web apps. Only that the spaces I showed you are a bit like very simple web apps. But if you want like more advanced features, you can do it. You can do that, especially with Streamlit. And also that there are like other ways of hosting Streamlit applications, so it's not limited to spaces. But yeah.
Thank you for answering that.
Sure.
And really, I had the pleasure to have you today. And for the audience, see you in the next conference. Thank you, Omar, again.
Thank you.
Bye.